You opened your phone 94 times today. You don't remember most of it. If that sentence just hit, you're in the right place. Subscribe and stay with me until the end. I have something for you. A short exercise that could genuinely shift things. That pull you feel, it has a name. And once you understand it, you can't unsee it. And understanding it is the only way out. Most people think dopamine is the pleasure chemical. It's not. That single misconception keeps millions of people stuck. Dopamine is the wanting chemical. It doesn't make you feel good. It makes you need to find out what feels good. The reaching, the seeking, that feeling, that's dopamine. In the 1950s, researchers discovered something disturbing. They were studying rat brains and stumbled onto something they weren't expecting. The animals stopped eating, stopped sleeping. They just kept pressing the lever over and over until they died. The electrode was stimulating the brain's reward pathway directly. The lever wasn't giving them pleasure, it was giving them the promise of pleasure. That's the trap. The anticipation was more powerful than any actual reward. Your brain evolved to seek novelty. New, potential food, potential mate, potential danger. New, survive. For 200,000 years, that wiring kept humans alive. Every time you encounter something new, dopamine spikes. It says, pay attention, this might matter. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. The problem is what it's been pointed at. Social media understood this before you did. The infinite scroll wasn't an accident, it was engineered, designed to match your biology perfectly. Every swipe, a new image, a new face, a new story. Every swipe, a micro spike of dopamine. Not enough to satisfy, just enough to keep going. Designers spent years testing which layouts kept people scrolling longest. The red notification dot? Deliberately red. Red signals urgency in the nervous system. The choice of color was not accidental. Nothing happened. But your body doesn't know that yet. Your nervous system is running the same code it ran 10,000 years ago. Dopamine doesn't peak when you get the reward, it peaks in anticipation. Neuroscientists spent decades mapping this before they believed it. The moment before you find out. The loading screen. The 3 dots when someone is typing. You've probably sat watching those dots, barely breathing, opening a package. The moment before you check your likes, the arrival is always slightly disappointing. When the reward arrives, dopamine drops. Your brain is constantly calculating, did I get more or less than I expected? This calculation happens below conscious thought. If less, you feel a crash. If more, a spike, but then a higher baseline expectation. You need more next time just to feel the same. The baseline keeps moving. That's the nature of the trap. This is tolerance. The same mechanism behind every addiction. Alcohol, cocaine, gambling, and yes, your phone. The neurological pattern is identical. When you flood your brain with dopamine hits all day, your baseline drops. Your nervous system compensates by becoming less sensitive. Things that used to bring joy, reading, walking, a real conversation, start to feel flat, gray. Not bad, just nothing. Not because those things changed, because you changed. This is called anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure from ordinary life. It's not depression, it's the specific loss of everyday joy. You're not depressed, you're overstimulated. The distinction matters because the solution is different. Your reward system has been recalibrated to expect constant intensity. Real life can't compete. A sunset that would have stopped you before now barely registers. Studies showed that heavy smartphone users reported lower satisfaction from in-person interactions. Not just lower, significantly lower. Not because the interactions were worse, because their baseline had shifted. The people in front of them felt buffering. Real humans are slow. They pause. They don't load instantly. B.F. Skinner discovered in the 1950s that unpredictable rewards are more addictive than consistent ones. This is called variable ratio reinforcement. If a lever gives food every time, you press it when you're hungry. If it gives food sometimes, you press it obsessively. Kinos understood this long before Silicon Valley. Your feed works on a variable reward schedule. Sometimes you open it and there's nothing. Sometimes, a message that changes your day. The algorithm doesn't just show you content, it sequences it. You never know which one it'll be, so you check, again and again, just in case. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day. This is not a personal failure. This is neuroscience. You are not weak, you are human. The engineers who built these systems spent billions making them as compelling as possible. And your brain is running ancient software in a world it was never designed for. Evolution has no update cycle. Everyone talks about dopamine detox, delete the apps, lock your phone, go into the woods. That's not the solution. That's just suffering without a plan. Abstinence isn't understanding. The actual mechanism is simpler and harder. You don't need less dopamine. You need to rebuild what triggers it. That requires changing what your brain anticipates. When you do hard things with delayed rewards, your brain eventually learns to anticipate those. Running, writing, building, these generate dopamine too, but only after repetition. A workout you've been doing for 3 weeks starts generating dopamine before you even begin. Your brain has learned this leads somewhere. The brain is plastic. It rewires. The goal isn't to stop wanting. The goal is to point your wanting at things that are actually worth having. Wanting is the engine. The question is what it's attached to. But here's what nobody asks. Why is the trap so easy to fall into? Why are we so desperate for stimulation? We talk about the mechanism, but we rarely ask why, because stimulation feels like aliveness. And somewhere along the way, we stopped feeling alive in ordinary moments. When you're scrolling, something is happening. When you're not, it's just you. The dopamine trap isn't really about your phone. It's about the gap between the life you're living and the life you sense you should be living. The phone is just the most available answer to a deeper restlessness. The scrolling fills that gap. It doesn't close it. It just makes you forget it's there. And it makes the gap slightly wider each time. The most radical thing you can do is sit in that gap without filling it and ask what it's actually trying to tell you. Not meditate, not detox, just sit. You've been chasing a feeling that was engineered to never be enough. That's not a conspiracy, it's just business. Your attention is the product. That's not a character flaw, that's the design. Now you know. The question is whether you want to keep running the program or start writing your own. Most people never ask the question. You just did. If this made you think, sit with it before you scroll away. That pause, that's the beginning. And here's the thing I promised you at the start. If you're not subscribed yet, now is a good time. And here's your exercise. It's called the Dopamine Audit. For 1 day, just one, every time you reach for your phone, pause before you open anything. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Write it down. Not what you're about to look at, what you're feeling in the moment before. Boredom, anxiety, loneliness, a flash of discomfort. After 1 day, you'll start to see the pattern. That feeling, that's your trigger. And once you see the trigger clearly, you have something you didn't have before, a choice. That's how you start writing your own program. If this channel gives you something useful, subscribe. Every week, one more thing about how your mind actually works.